Support WrestleTalk!
Share this video on social media. Thanks for your support on Patreon. Arnie K, the K stands for the coolest dude ever. Hello and welcome to the WrestleTalk Super News! I'm Ollie Davis. We've got a packed show for you today, including what's going to happen to NXT when it moves to the USA Network. Dave Meltzer breaks his star rating system twice for last weekend's matches, and more news on Backstage heat in WWE, this time with Eric Bischoff's running of SmackDown. Click the timestamps in the video description below to jump to any of those stories right now and answer our question of the day in the comments down below. Which NXT star should be called up next? Because I'll be answering comments from out of nowhere saying that the answer is Keith Lee. He's amazing and he's my favorite and he does big flippy moves off the top rope even though he's the same size and weight as a fridge freezer unit. But first, WrestleTalk needs you. With the changing landscape of professional wrestling happening over the next month, with AEW launching weekly TV, NXT going to 2 hours on the USA Network, and SmackDown moving to Friday nights, not to mention our new aim to live stream every pay-per-view to watch along with the SWAF Nation, even between me, Luke, Pete and Laurie, we don't have enough people to put out the kind of coverage we want to, which will include full WrestleTalk and WrestleRamble reviews of all those shows, along with now working Saturdays to cover SmackDown. So for the first time ever, WrestleTalk is launching a recruitment drive. We need on-screen presenters, script writers, website writers, video editors, social media managers, YouTube comment moderators, and more. And that doesn't just include wrestling, but also for movies and video games for our other channel, Screen Stalker. While we will look at non-UK presenters, we really need people who can come into our London studio so we can keep this all a close-knit bunch of mates vibe. Click the eye that's just appeared above my head, or click the link in the video description below to find out how to apply, where we've got a description of what we're looking for and what you need to submit for each role. The chance to work with YouTube extraordinaire Ollie Davis, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Almost as rare as finding a $30,000 freshly won AEW title belt lying on the side of the road.
Oh, a little bit of the bubbly.
Ooh, a little bit of the segue! As a recap to the story so far, Chris Jericho became AEW's first ever world champion on Saturday night at All Out. Just 2 days later, he had lost the belt, alleging it had been stolen while he dined in a steakhouse as his limo driver went back to the airport to collect his misplaced luggage. The Tallahassee Police Department quickly recovered the title, where it was found laying along the side of the road, not suspicious at all, and AEW even turned it into a kayfabe storyline, building on Jericho's latest character reinvention as a high-rolling Ric Flair-like heel champion with a penchant for sparkling white wine. But now the man who found the AEW title, Frank Price, has told his side of the story to the Tallahassee Democrat. Apparently, Frank found the championship lying on the side of the road after driving home from his 41st birthday. He just assumed it was a replica and listed it on Craigslist in the Lost and Found section. Price eventually saw the many messages from wrestling fans on Craigslist pointing out his listing is most likely the actual AEW title, and he handed it over to police, where Mike Vaughn, the owner of the limo Jericho had hired, later gave him a $200 reward. Frank has texts, emails, receipts, witnesses, and GPS data to show he was nowhere near the scene of the crime, and really did, in fact, just find the belt by the side of the road. So what did actually happen with the stolen AEW title? According to Frank, I think what happened is they just set it on the trunk of the limo and it just fell off. Unfortunately, that's not the only thing falling off for AEW. The Wrestling Observer newsletter has revealed that last Saturday's All Out event drew around 28,000 buys on standard TV pay-per-view in the US, down 20% from Double or Nothing's 35,000 buys in May this year. The good news is that the BR Live streaming numbers had actually increased over Double or Nothing, but even factoring those in, All Out's estimated 100,000 combined orders is still down 10% from Double or Nothing's 111,000. Tickets Tickets for AEW's next pay-per-view, Full Gear on November 9th, go on sale today, and to hopefully continue their sellout momentum, the promotion has confirmed its likely main event. In addition to Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley being announced for Full Gear earlier this week, the match that had to be cancelled just a week before All Out due to Mox getting an MRSA infection on his elbow, AEW took the very WWE PR step of letting Sports Illustrated first report that Chris Jericho will defend his world title, if it hasn't fallen off the roof of his limo again by then, against one of the best win-loss record holders in AEW so far, Cody Rhodes. AEW President Tony Khan then confirmed the report. Cody's outstanding record in singles competition has secured him the #1 contender ranking. For all those wondering how stats and wins and losses can be used to book a logical wrestling promotion, that's how. Going by Dave Meltzer's recent set of star ratings, however, Full Gear has got a tough act to follow. Dave Meltzer's Star Spectacular segue! Last Saturday was an incredible day for wrestling, seeing New Japan's Royal Quest show in London, WWE's NXT UK TakeOver show in Cardiff, and AEW's All Out in Chicago. And hopefully, in a sign of things to come, competition is bringing out the best in everyone. Stars for you! Kazuchika Okada versus Minoru Suzuki got 4.5 stars in New Japan's highest rated match of the night in London, that presumably would have been 5 if in the Tokyo Dome. Stars for you! Meltzer gave NXT UK's Tyler Bate versus Volta main event a system-breaking 5.25 stars, and stars for you! Which AEW's All Out matched, with the Lucha Bros versus Young Bucks ladder match also being awarded 5.25 stars. Stars for you! Stars for you! Stars for everyone! Before WWE's main roster can start thinking about breaking Meltzer's rating system, though, they're going to have to sort out SmackDown's significant creative issues backstage first. F4W Online reported that after months of Vince McMahon being unhappy with SmackDown's creative direction, frequently ripping up scripts and completely rewriting them just hours before the show is due to go live, WWE have inevitably shaken up their backstage writing staff ahead of SmackDown moving to Fox on October 4th. The former head writer of 205 Live, Jonathan Bakestrom, has fully moved to be the lead writer of Raw under Paul Heyman, while the former head writer of Raw, Ed Koskey, WWE's vice president of creative writing and a company man for over 18 years, will take over SmackDown, working with the show's recently installed executive director, Eric Bischoff, leaving the former head writer of SmackDown, Ryan Ward, out in the cold. As SmackDown moving to Fox as part of a $1 billion deal is rather a big story, more and more mainstream news sites are beginning to show interest in the behind-the-scenes workings of WWE. And now The Wrap has published an article about the backstage creative shakeup, confirming Pro Wrestling Sheet's report that Ward will be taking a short-term leave of absence, and should he return, he will likely join the Home Team, or the company's non-traveling group of writers. That would be considered a major step down for Ward, who reassumed his position as SmackDown head writer earlier this year. And The Wrap is reporting even more issues backstage, but this time with Eric Bischoff himself. Even though Squared Circle Sirens have reported Ward's short-term leave of absence could be time off for recently getting married, it still doesn't explain away the mounting evidence of SmackDown being a shambles behind the scenes. Since WrestleMania, backstage producer Road Dogg Jesse James stepped down from his role at SmackDown, reportedly due to immense frustration over McMahon tearing apart his work and then blaming James for product continuity issues, and co-lead writer Steve Gurrieri being fired several months ago. This was all before WWE announced their latest creative saving plan that'll turn everything around. After the superstar shakeup, wildcard rule, and making the third hour of Raw slightly underlit didn't quite work out, making Paul Heyman the executive director of Monday Nights and Eric Bischoff the same behind the scenes on SmackDown. While Heyman's creative fingerprints are now all over Raw, with the show's quality improving dramatically since he took over, the Wrestling Observer has reported that Bischoff has never really had any creative input on SmackDown, with him more acting as a go-between figurehead for WWE and Fox in a front-facing TV producer role. But according to the Wrap, Bischoff is receiving growing questions about his leadership of the show, with the article noting his decision to hire Stevie Long, a former Sons of Anarchy writer who was found asleep in the writer's room by longtime producer Michael P.S. Hayes on his first day on the road with WWE. Long is a classic Bischoff hire, well known for his obsession with motorbike culture through WCW's Hog Wild pay-per-views and TNA's biker gang-themed Aces and Eights faction. And apparently it's Bischoff and his SmackDown team who have been blamed for the ridiculous Roman Reigns attacker mystery that, while it really helped build names for Buddy Murphy and Derek Rowan, made no sense anywhere else, with an insider calling it botched so bad explaining to anyone what it was supposed to be wouldn't make any sense at all. And that's not the only thing WWE have to sort out in the next month, as NXT moves to the USA Network from the 18th of September, and in true recent NXT call-up style, they're still going to be half in developmental. PW Insider have confirmed with their WWE sources that the first 2 episodes of NXT on USA will only be 1 hour long, airing from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern, with the second hours of the shows airing on the WWE Network. From Wednesday the 2nd of October, coincidentally the same night AEW debuts its 2-hour weekly show live on TNT, which I'm sure isn't connected at all, NXT will go a full 2 hours on the USA Network every week. But while there are reports of the main roster Raw and SmackDown shows becoming less scripted with their wrestler promos, Dave Meltzer is reporting the weekly 2-hour NXT is set to be a heavily scripted program. But having a heavily scripted show is no good when your top stars can just be called up when Vince suddenly decides he wants fresh talent the Friday before. Not hyperbole, but exactly what happened earlier this year with Aleister Black, Ricochet, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. Meltzer has also said that the upcoming WWE draft, reportedly scheduled for the 11th and 14th of October episodes of SmackDown and Raw, may include some NXT people, implying NXT's wrestlers and patiently told storylines could be about to be gutted all over again. It Chapter 2 is out in cinemas now, so watch my review of It, click in the video on the right, which also includes a scary action montage of Chopper Pete watching the Chapter 1 movie for the first time, and there's been a backstage fight in AEW. Click the video on the right to find out more. I've been Ollie Davis, and that was wrestling.